Hi my friends, so glad to have you here tonight. So glad you found me. If you found me in my little corner of the internet, my name is Misty Sims, and you have found Beyond Reasonable Doubt, where we talk about things true crime, creepy, culty, and everything in between. I'm so glad to have you here, and if you are a returning subscriber, you already know that I love you more than cupcakes with sprinkles. I have a co-host tonight, if you can see her in the back here, so just prepare to see her a lot tonight. She's needing a little extra attention, but I'm so glad to have you back. And if you aren't new here and you're just joining for the first time, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I really hope that you will subscribe and stick around and give me a chance to share some things that have been rattling around in my head over the past week over a true crime case with you. It's a free way to support the channel and helps me bring you more true crime all the time. So before we get started tonight, I do want to remind you that this case that we're going to talk about is for entertainment purposes only. This is just information that I have found on the internet that I have compiled into one source. As a lady with a camera, a mic, and too much to say. Always please be kind in the comment section below. We never know when we might have family members, friends, victims, and everything in between reading in the comment section, and we always want to choose kindness when we're dealing with these situations so that these people know that we are here to keep the victims alive, give them a voice, and we mean no harm to anybody that we talk about, and we don't want to cause any other hurt to the families that may have already experienced that. So anyways, I hope you guys are having a great week or weekend. It was just the weekend. If you're watching this, you're probably watching it at the start of the week. So I hope you have a great start to your week. I hope you got out over the weekend, enjoyed some sunshine. If it was like it was here, it is 1,005 degrees, so you were baking in the sun. But it was a beautiful weekend. We actually were in a barbecue competition over the weekend. It was our first one ever, and we did pretty well. I think we got a People's Choice Award and didn't do bad in the other categories. We learned a lot, made a lot of new friends. So it was a good time. It's a family affair. All of us went, including the kids. So really, really fun. Hope to do it again. So we'll see how that shakes out. Hope you guys enjoyed yours, but trying to start this on a light note because this case is hard and it's heavy for me. It's a recent one. It actually occurred starting back in 2020 when, COVID had just happened. I think that's probably how I heard about it. Actually, I wasn't as into true crime necessarily until about that time because, we all had a lot more time on our hands right after that, right? So I really got involved in the community then, listening to a lot more podcasts. I really got to follow Bailey Sarian, Sherilyn Dale, Kendall Ray, Christina Randall, trying to think of all the ones that I listened to, and Annie Elise over at 10 to Life, and really started listening to their stories and just getting involved in a lot of different things. And this case, they, as far as I know, unless I've missed it, they haven't covered, but it was one that made its rounds on the internet and around Facebook especially. And I think a lot of it was because the victim in this case she's somebody, when you see her, and we'll circle back to this at the end, she just looks like your friend. She looks like somebody you would have been friends with in college. She looks like somebody, she's a nurse, so she looks like somebody you would hope would be your nurse because she just has this infectious smile when you see her pictures, and it drew me in. The story drew me in, and it was a pretty short-lived story because the police were pretty quick to solve this one, thankfully. But it was just I don't know, it just grabbed your attention, and I think it was just the story as a whole. It could have been any of us, it could have been anybody, just how she was taken and the results of it. And then, just like I said, she just looked like your average everyday best buddy that you'd want to go shopping with at the mall. It was all around sad. So the case that I'm bringing to you today is that of Sydney Sutherland. Sydney was a nurse over in Arkansas, and it made its rounds on the Facebook community, I think, like I said, because it was during COVID, and that was a big time for all of us to be connecting on the internet because we were home constantly. And I live in the South, so it felt like we all kind of came together and were connected, all hoping and praying and just almost just knowing that Sydney was going to come home. We never dreamed that the case would turn out the way that it did. So This case is a little dark. I warned you. We did the cult case last week to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. It's weird when you say that a cult's lightening the mood, but that's kind of where we were. This one's a little dark. It's not quite as long as some of my other ones, but it is dark. So if you are triggered in any way by anything like that, this might be a video you want to click out of, and hopefully you'll join me back for the next one, because it does involve kidnapping, being AR'd, and abuse of a corpse. So it is it's a dark one. So if you need to protect yourself and keep yourself safe, I totally understand, and I will see you next time. So if you need to click out, by all means go ahead. But for the rest of us that are going to stay here and hear Sydney's story, we're going to get started and peel this onion back right now. So Sydney Clara Sutherland was born in Jonesboro, Arkansas on September the 8th, 1995 to parents Dion and Maggie Sutherland. And Sydney grew up on a family farm. She had 2 older brothers, and by all indications, she loved these brothers and they loved her. They were rough and tumble. They had a great time growing up out in the woods on this big family farm. And it sounds like, from what I read, this area of Arkansas is very much kind of like where I live, where there are tons and tons of farms. And when we say farms, we're not meaning farms that are like, 5-10 acres like some people think. These are, 5,000-6,000 acre farms. So just a rural area, but a good family oriented area, a great place to raise kids, all that type of stuff. And this is where she was having the time of her life. She was known and just described to be very outgoing. She was a friend to everybody that she met. She was, they said, sassy but sweet, and that she was just had tons of friends. She was very well liked in her school, all in the community growing up. And, not only was she outgoing and sweet, but she was a smart cookie as well. She excelled in academics. She was an active member of her Spanish club in high school, the Beta Club, and the Key Club, for those of you that are familiar with Key Club. She was also an athlete. She was on her school's softball team, and she was recognized as being the outstanding senior player during her senior year of high school. So just a well-rounded girl. She had her academic side, she had her athletic side, she had her social side, just kind of had it all going, and everybody wanted to be around Sydney and felt like they were a better person for having Sydney around them. When she would graduate Tuckerman High School in 2014, she decided that she wanted to pursue a nursing degree. And I thought this was cute because it reflected her personality to a T, because her quote from her senior yearbook was that the meaning of life was to find your gift, and the purpose of life was to give that gift away. And that was just what she wanted to do. She wanted to go be a nurse. She wanted to help others and just be a part of something bigger and better for herself. And we all know, if you've ever been a patient anywhere, the nurses are your bread and butter, right? They take care of you. They help you. They answer questions. They deal with the things that, we might not all want to deal with. They see the gross. They see the good. They see it all. So we're thankful for them. And she wanted to be a part of that. So she was going for it, and she went on to pursue a degree as an LPN, and she graduated in July of 2018 with that, and she didn't stop there. She went on, and in December of 2019, she would become a full registered nurse, or an RN, and she worked for the Unity Health Harris Medical Center, and she was just adored by the coworkers, the staff, her patients. Everyone said that she just had this endearing personality, and she was just a true ray of sunshine. And I think you can see that if you look at the pictures that I'm sharing as we go through this. Her smile was just infectious. I mean, she's a stunningly beautiful girl anyway. Just has just striking eyes. Those brown eyes they just kind of captivate you. And that smile it just made you like, this is where I connected with her, I guess. It made me feel like I almost knew who she was just because it was so open and inviting, and just, you know, that warmth that you want in your nurse, right? Or you want in your friend. So and that's how everyone described her. So I think it was pretty accurate. And, you know, not only was Sydney blossoming in her professional life, you know, she's done high school, she's done college, now she's found her career. Her personal life was just as shining as well. She had met her boyfriend Alex Nicholson, and they had been together for 4 years, so, you know, a good long-term relationship, and they actually were sharing a home together. She had 2 nieces who were just the light of her life. I mean, if you look at these pictures, you can see that these 2 little girls, they loved their aunt and she loved them. And, you know, she was described as being a little sassy and a little sweet, and they actually called her Aunt Sassy. So I thought that was adorable. And you could just tell that, you know, family was everything to her. She was very involved in their life as they were hers. So just a sweet connection that they shared. So on top of loving, you know, her nieces and her family, she loved her dogs. These dogs were her babies. They were, you know, she might have gone on to have her own family one day, but these dogs were going to be the OGs. They were the babies that she had first, and she adored them. And I like this part too. It's kind of connected me to her a little bit more. She really loved audiobooks. And I wasn't a huge audiobook person until life just got busy. And then I realized how awesome it was to have an audiobook, you know, to listen to on the way to work, when I was working outside the home, or, you know, while I'm cleaning or something like that. So she loved the books, loved all that kind of stuff. But more so than anything, Sydney loved to exercise. She was a tiny, petite little thing, but she was just, you know, hardcore in the gym, just ready to go. And she loved to run. That was just a true joy of hers that she just enjoyed. And on the day of August 19th, 2020, that was exactly what Sydney had planned to do. She was going to go for a jog after she had visited with her mom for a little bit. She told her mom she was going to go home and bake some cookies or some brownies. And then it sounds like all of us, right? Like, well, maybe I'm going to do that, but I'm going to run first. That way, you know, it's like I don't have to feel so bad if I eat the whole pan. Or, I mean, maybe that's just me. I don't know. But anyway, so she said she was going to do that. She talked to Alex, her boyfriend, before she decided to go out for the run. Let him know she was going to be jogging that day, and then she would be back home shortly afterwards. So she changed into her running clothes, a white tank top with some black shorts, and she headed out on her run. And if I'm sniffling through this whole video, I am trying my best, I think, to either have an allergy attack or get a cold. So I apologize, guys, so much. And if you see the choppy editing, that is probably from where I was sneezing. But anyway, so Sydney heads out on her run. You know, typical behavior for what she would do. Alex gets home, and Sydney is nowhere to be found. Now, there's been a decent amount of time span here where he would have thought she would have been back. So he starts looking around, doesn't see her anywhere, but he does see that her car is outside and all of her personal belongings are still there. It didn't say specifically, but I took this to mean like purse, keys, that type of thing. And he gets worried. He's like, it is 5 o'clock. Where is she? She should be home by now. So he does the first thing that a lot of us would do, and he calls another person that's closest to her. He calls her mother. And Maggie is like, yeah, she should be home by now. I'm on my way. So she jumps in the car. She's speeding over there. She makes it within 15 minutes. She is there lickety-split. But on her way, she calls Dion. She calls Sydney's 2 brothers, and she's like, there's a problem. Sydney's not coming home. She's missing. Something's going on. We need to go look for her. So everybody piles into Sydney and Alex's house. And they're like, all right, let's start thinking about this. Where would she go? What path would she have taken? So they set out and they start searching on what would most likely have been the running path that she would have taken. And they're looking everywhere and they don't see a thing. You know, they're thinking in their minds, maybe she fell. There could have been an accident. I mean, you know, they're in rural Arkansas. You know, there's, you know, places on the road that might not be great. She could have fell, twisted her ankle in a pothole. Who knows? But they're like, surely we'll find her. And they find nothing. So now, you know, as a mom, heart's pounding, right? Like, she's scared. Alex is scared. Love of his life's missing. The brothers are scared. Their baby sister's missing. Like, what the heck is going on? They call the police. they get the police out there, and you know, they're like, we don't know what's going on, but she's missing. We can't find a single sign of her. And this is when they start thinking in their minds the potential for an abduction. Has she been abducted? Did somebody see her? What, you know? And of course the police are asking these questions as well, and they're like, well, you know, it could have happened, but, you know, did it? Because she did not run the same time or the same day every week because of her nursing schedule. You know, when she's working in the medical center, it varies. And, you know, and if you know any nurses, you know that they work crazy hours and swing shifts and 12-hour days and all these things, and they're typically never the same. So they're like, it would have happened. It had to be just like a chance encounter that somebody could have snatched her. But who cares? She's missing. Let's find her. So the police in Arkansas, I will have to say, it sounds like they were on it. Like, they were responding. They had helicopters out. They're searching everywhere, you know, and we're talking within hours. Social media is blowing up with posters and posts and help find this girl. They start a Facebook page, a Facebook group to help find her, which is how I found out about this case and got connected to it. I was actually in the group. You know, I'm sharing her poster here. I mean, I'm miles away in Tennessee, but I mean, Sydney looks like somebody that could be your friend, your sister, your daughter, your aunt, whatever. And it's scary, right? Like, she was running and she's gone. And this is something we all do, or, well, maybe not all do, but, you know, most of us can do. It could easily be one of us. What the heck happened to this poor girl? She's 25 years old. Where the heck is she? And what did someone do with her? There's no trace of her at all. And, you know, at the time, you know, she was kind of the first. Now we've heard about, like, Eliza Fletcher running and all this type of things. And it's starting to get scary, right? So posts are going everywhere. Social media is ablaze. Everybody's going crazy. Well, the police, they find this UPS driver, and he was traveling down this road. It was Arkansas Road 18, and it's about 80 miles northeast of Little Rock, for just kind of perspective. And he saw her running, said, verified that he did see her running, so we know she made it out, and it was around 3 p.m. So 2 hours prior to Alex coming home. So, all right, we've got between 3 p.m., we know she's okay, and 5 p.m., we can't find her. What happened in those 2 hours? The police, the day after she goes missing, the police find her iPhone. It's about a mile away from her home. It's on Jackson County Road 41. And a few hundred yards away from where this phone was found, they also find her sunglasses. And they are broken and kind of tossed inside of a barn. So this is starting to get a little sketchy to them. And they're like, all right, so you got an iPhone that looks like it was dropped somewhere. You got these glasses that were tossed somewhere. This is starting to look more and more like, yeah, there was somebody involved for sure. So the following day, so now we're 2 days out of her missing, they speak to a local farmer named Quake Lewellyan, he's a well-known farmer in the area. His whole family's farmed their whole lives, and he's got a 5,800-acre farm here that's, you know, just right close to where all this stuff was found. And they want to speak to him, you know, hey, you live in this area, you probably traveled down this road, like, what's going on? Did you see this girl? You know, they become, you know, or he's very popular in the county. You know, I mean, his family's kind of prominent. He's well known. I think he's been Farmer of the Year. I didn't even know that was the thing. But anyway, let's talk to Quake. So, you know, they roll up on Quake. They're like, what's going on? Have you seen this girl? And he's like, absolutely. Saw her running down the road, and, you know, at this time, and you know, seemed fine, right? She's jogging down the road, and I kept on driving. And the police, you know, they're like, okay, well, good to know. However, you know, we know that you've seen her. We know the UPS guy saw her just before, and then nobody saw her afterwards. So, you know, the wheels are starting to kind of turn for the police. Like, could this guy be it? He's maybe the last person that saw her alive. The rest of the community is not thinking anything of it, right? Quake and Sydney knew each other from high school, or about each other, I guess. They went to the same high school, but he's a bit older than she is, so they were acquaintances, but I wouldn't call them, you know, friends or anything, although they were apparently friends on Facebook, and he had recently, during these few days, unfriended her. So, you know, whatever. But anyway, maybe he was cleaning his Facebook page. I don't know, but he had. So they, they knew that they knew of each other. They knew that, they had at least run across each other, so he knew who she was. And being in the community and active in the community, he had gone to the volunteer search for her and assisted in that. And then, of course, he had joined this Facebook page, the one that, I was a member of as well. He's joined this group, and he's, actively trying to find Sydney, because that's what Farmer of the Year would do, right? I mean, that's just what we're going to do. I don't know why when I say that, I say Farmer of the Year and all that. So I'm just thinking, y'all seen those commercials for like the Farmers Only dating thing, or I think it's Farmers Only. I don't know, something like that. Like, that's just popping in my mind. And this guy's not going to be on there, but I don't know why. It's just making me think of that. But anyway, the community doesn't have any red flags about him, because this is just the type of stuff that the community would do, right? If somebody's hurt, missing, sick, you're bringing meals, you're praying at your local church, you're doing all these things. If they're missing, you're helping out with the search. So nobody's thinking anything about it. But the police are. They're like, you are the last known person to see this girl running down the road, and now she's gone. So, I'm not saying you did anything, but I'm saying with a name like Quake and all these other things going on, I want to talk to you a little bit further. Can we look at your phone? So he consents. He's like, sure, you can search my phone. I don't know if he was just stupid, or if, I don't know. That's harsh, but I'm getting angry, so I guess you can figure out where this is headed. So they look at his phone, and on his phone, he had the Live 360 app installed. And if you know anything about Live 360, it's going to track, your geographical location to a T. And they find out that when Alex came home at that 5 o'clock time, and he's looking and he can't find her, Life 360 is pinpointed Quake as 2 miles away from where they found Sydney's phone. So, okay, you were in the vicinity. Obviously, that's not a deal breaker here, but it does have to make you, kind of scratch your head a little bit. Why was a married man with 3 stepchildren, who, if you roll back in history and look at his Facebook page and all the posts, and he's declaring all this love for his wife, or soon-to-be wife at the time, and his love for all things in between with her, and all these pictures of the kids looking like the perfect stepdad and all this type of stuff. Why are you within 2 miles of where a missing girl's phone's been found? Can we look at your truck? Because that's concerning too. So he consents. He consents to a search. He had a 2019 fairly new GMC pickup truck. And he's like, sure, look at my truck. What do I have to hide, right? Okay. Just the blood on your tailgate and the cracks of your tailgate there, buddy. That's what I guess you should have been worried about, but he wasn't. So the police see it, and they're like, this looks like blood. This looks like blood. I mean, we're in a rural Arkansas. I guess it could be a deer or something, who knows? But your phone's pinging here. We got blood here. We're going to go search where that phone was pinging. So that's exactly what they did. They roll out in that field. And it's a rice field, as I understand it. I didn't even know they had rice fields in Arkansas. I guess I should educate myself a little bit more, but I had no idea. But they roll out in this field and in the vicinity of where this phone was pinging. And it takes like no time. And they find a shallow grave. And of course, they have the unfortunate responsibility to search, and unearth what's under this grave. And they do find a body. And unfortunately, DNA did verify that the body was that of Sydney Sutherland. So now we got problems, right? Now we got big problems. We got Sydney, and she's no longer with us. We got a dude's phone pinging here who shouldn't have been here. And you the last person that saw her. So now we got problems and we got questions. So they bring him in and they're like, all right, talk to me, buddy. What's going on here? And he gives them a couple of stories in the beginning. Like, I think one was like he drove past her. There was a dust cloud. He felt something. Like, all this bull crap. I almost cussed. I don't want to cuss. All this bull schnot. And finally, he just breaks down and he confesses, and he says he was just driving down the road and he sees her and he passes by, and as one should, as what you should have done. And then he decides now he's going to turn around and haul it back, and he hits her. He hits her with the truck, y'all. And then he gets out and he drags her to the back of the truck and puts her on the tailgate. And he drives out to this abandoned field. Now originally he's saying he hit her on accident and he was scared he was going to get in trouble for hitting her. So keep that in mind. That was the OG story. He's scared. Scared he's going to get in trouble for hitting her. Okay? So he drives her out to this field. So you would think if you're scared and you made a bad decision, all right, we're just going to roll with that bad decision for a second. You would think if that were the truth, you would just like try to hide it, right? Like you just like cover it up and try to hide it if you were truly like just making bad decisions because you're scared. But instead, he says that he has her on the tailgate, decides to unclothe her a little bit and then mess with her, which mess with her means that he AR'd her on the back of that tailgate. And he believed she was already dead. I'm going to let that marinate for a second. Like, bro, gross. Like, what is wrong with you? Okay? Like, anywho. So, he is completed with his task at hand here. And then he digs a shallow grave. He says he has a shovel. I'm assuming it was in the back of the truck. Since this is, like I said, rural community, it's not uncommon for people to keep things like that around. Buries her in this grave and leaves. And he goes home and he eats dinner and he finishes his work for the day, then goes home and he eats dinner and he tries to forget about what happened. Like, you killed somebody and you AR'd them afterwards, even if she was still alive after you would run over her with a vehicle and you did that. Like, there's still some special place in the deep pits of hell for you. I said it. Come for me, Quake. I don't care. But yeah, just finishes out his day like it's just nothing. And then, like I said, goes and joins the volunteer search party to help look for somebody that he knows dang good and well where she is, y'all. He knows where she is. And he hugged her mother. He went up to her mother and he hugged her. I don't know what he said because Miss Maggie didn't divulge that in the court documents that I could find. But he hugged her. Like, you some special kind of cold and crazy right now is what I'm going to tell you, son. Like, that's all I'm going to say. Well, so he confesses all this stuff to the police. In the meantime, what I don't think he probably does know was going on, police are still investigating, and they've gone out to his family's property. And, they're searching and they're doing all these things. I mean, I'm sure they know that he's been taken in, but they don't know the details, I guess, of everything. And they are more than cooperative. His mother and his wife give them surveillance video from the farm. And what they're able to piece together from this surveillance video is that on the day of her disappearance, if you look at his vehicle in older surveillance footage, there's no dent on it. If you look at his vehicle the day of the disappearance, there's this big old dent in the front of it. Like, you explain that, right? Because we know you didn't hit a deer. Can't find a deer. No report of an accident. Like, easy peasy on that, tying that confession to that one. And then they look and they see him in the video after the fact on the surveillance footage from the farm. And they see these Sanuk style sandals that he's wearing, or shoes that he's wearing. And there were footprints on top of the grave and next to it. And they are a match for that style shoe. So, not only do we have his confession, which you always got to be careful, I guess, about confessions, because as one does, we will find out later his attorneys tried to have him undergo mental health evaluations and things like that. So even though you get a confession, it's not always concrete, right? They got everything else, though. They can tie him to this. They know he did it. We're done here, right? This fool goes on to plead not guilty. Like, okay. October 2020, he says he is not guilty. He's charged with kidnapping, capital murder, the R word, and then also for mishandling a corpse. And he says he's not guilty. His attorney says he needs to undergo a mental health evaluation. Yeah, no, you think? And he is not guilty. Well, by that, you know, the plea of not guilty and then the mental health evaluation proved that he was competent to stand trial. So all this mixed in the soup bowl makes for a recipe that spells out that now he can be, if he is found guilty, he can be put up for the death penalty. And I mean, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. I don't even play one on TV. But even I can do the public math right there that says that the death penalty was pretty dang likely because, I mean, a 2-year-old could have put all these clues together and probably gotten a jury to be convinced that this guy was responsible for this, right? So he has a change of heart or something. And in October of 2021, he changes his plea from not guilty and accepts a deal. He pleads guilty to capital murder and the R, and that gets him a life sentence without the possibility of parole. So he is put up for good, right? Well, the positive thing about this is, of course, we don't need a trial by jury. We don't have to have anything like that. But we still do get to hear victims' impact statements from Sydney's family. Her brother gave one, and then her mother and father gave one. And they were so impactful to me. It just like, oh my gosh, it was rough. Like, her mom was very clear. And I love her mom. I've not spoken to her mom personally, but I would love to interview Maggie. I think she's like just an incredible person because she stopped in that trial and she was like, hey, I want you to look at me. I want you to look me in the eyes while I say this. And he did. I mean, he did. And she told him, she said that Sydney was not his to take. And she called him Satan at one point. And I'm not sure she was real far off in that assessment. And then, you know, she was questioning him of why could he not just pass Sydney and let her go? Just keep on going. Why her? And then she wanted to know, did she fight? And did she, you know, cry out for her brothers and all that type of stuff? And it was just, oh my goodness. And her dad, Dion, called him a 300-pound coward that had to run over his 100-pound daughter with a 3,000-pound vehicle to take her out. And I don't know. I admire her parents so much for being able to speak and say those things, you know, just to get the point across. He deserved to hear that stuff. He deserved to hopefully marinate in that and sit in his cell and have to just think about what he did and what he did to this family. And she was 100, I think it said 103 pounds, and she's 5'1". So, I mean, to run over her with a, you know, that type of vehicle and just manhandle her the way he did was just, I always call this my little special corner of the internet. Well, there's a special little corner in a hot place for him, I feel like, for doing that to her. I don't know. And, you know, just to look at her Facebook posts, there was one that a lot of people brought up, and I went to her Facebook and, you know, saw this post for myself. She had posted a meme that said, just know if I'm ever murdered, I ran my mouth up until the very end. And it's eerie now because of obviously what happened to her, but it lets you know that she was fiery and she was sassy. And I do think that had she been given the opportunity to fight for her life, she would have. Now, I don't know. I wasn't there. I assume if she was hit by this vehicle, she probably wasn't able to. And I mean, if she was going to have to go through this treachery, I hope it just took her out quickly. The autopsy did prove that she died of blunt force trauma, so I do assume that maybe she wasn't aware of what was going on to her after he hit her, but just, I mean, just a tragic story. This Facebook, oh my God, I don't even know where I'm at right now. It's getting late here, and I don't even know. So it's 10:30. Do you know where your children are? This YouTube channel right now, I don't have enough subscribers and views right yet to be monetized, but when it is, I want to make a donation to, Sydney's mom has a foundation, the Sydney Claire Sutherland Foundation, or maybe it may just be the Sydney Sutherland Foundation. And every year they put on a big to-do and raise money and things like that. And I would love to be able to make a donation. It's actually going to be going on here in just a few weeks. So you can look at that up pretty easily on Facebook. It doesn't have a GoFundMe or any type of direct link, but they do have events going on around it. And there is an email address that you can contact if you would, like to have more information. When we are monetized, that's one of the first places that I would like to contact and send some money. And if Maggie is watching this ever in the future, feel free to reach out to me if you would like to get your story out here. I would love to have the conversation with you. And then also just know that donation will be coming from this channel as soon as we can be. That's one thing I really admire about Kendall Ray and Sherilyn Dale. They do a whole lot for victims advocacy and donate money and raise money for things like that. So it's something I want to do when we're bigger. We're not there yet, but we will be. So we are going to do that in the future. And Sydney was she was out to change the world. Nurses are angels, man. They are. And she was called home, obviously, just way too soon. I don't know. I don't know how to even put that into words. But as for Quake's wife, I saw a lot of just hateful stuff around her when all this first came out. But it sounds like, honestly, guys, she cooperated with the police. She got them information that they might not have had otherwise. And she filed for divorce right away. So, I'm not even releasing her name on here or anything. I mean, doesn't take a rocket scientist to find it, but I hope she's doing well. By all indications, she got out of this situation and she has moved on with her life, and she has 3 babies that she's got to take care of now. And unfortunately, this man was part of their lives as well, so they had to continue to heal. This is still really fresh. We're only in 2023, so they are very much still healing from this. So I do ask, if you comment below or anything like that, please be kind, because there are kids involved here that I am sure were drastically affected from somebody that they thought they knew. And it doesn't sound like he, gave a crap about them. He just acted in the moment and took this young girl's life. And I don't understand. He hasn't really elaborated why. He just acted and did what he did. Because, if you hit her with a vehicle, you know what's about to happen. And like I said, originally he said it was an accident. And then he said now he drove and then turned around and came back. So I don't believe it was. So I don't know if he just decided that morning he wanted to kill somebody and then, assault their body. I don't know what was going on there. I just know that he's in the right place to be put up forever, because he doesn't need to be out to hurt someone else if this is how his actions are going to be. He was 28 when this happened, so Lord only knows if he'd have gotten away with it, what he would be doing by the time he was 38. So that was a heavy one. I told you guys this one was going to be a mess today. If you've heard about this case, let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Sydney's family is still going on to do great things. They're keeping her name alive out there. They do the annual fundraiser, and they've also done some golf tournaments. There were shirts at one time that I actually have one that says, I think it says World Changer on the front. I'd have to grab it. It's pink because that was Sydney's favorite color, and her family wore pink every day in court and things like that, just to keep a little piece of her alive out there. So they're strong people, and I admire them for what they're doing. So let me know what you think about this one, though. Like I said, it's heavy. It's another runner that was hurt, just doing something that she should have freely been able to do anywhere. It's just her, Eliza, so many have done this, and it's just heartbreaking that we can't even run down the road for exercise without somebody thinking that it's okay to just snatch you. It's not okay. It is not okay. It never will be okay. So let me know what you guys think. If you aren't subscribed, like I said, please do. If you're listening to this over on Spotify, then please follow this podcast. Know that I love you guys so, so much. And I want you to stay sweet, stay safe out there, and can't wait to join you for the next one. Bye.